Speedo, Biden, Bernie, booty call. Buttigieg, Mayor Pete. Yes, I'm so bored. 4 Bs, I'll add a 5th one. Boring. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the 4 Bs. I have others who I want to look at. Hopeless idealists, the hopeless idealists of the 2020 campaign. That's where all the action is. Wait for it. Seaweed. Who knew that seaweed could be sexy? Jay Inslee did. Who? Jay Inslee. Who? The governor of the state of Washington. You know, that backwater of the United States, right? He's running for president, and he's running on one big idea, tackling climate change. And he wants us to think about things like seaweed. Seaweed is sexy. It's gooey. It's slimy. It smells and tastes fishy. But it's also sexy because it can save a world. It can save our planet. You know why? Because it grows so fast and it sucks so much carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Yes, this is the kind of stuff that he actually talks about. Seaweed, gooey seaweed. Yes, that is shellfish. Yes, right. So here it is, right? 90% of greenhouse gases come from Asia, China, and us, and Europe, right? And so we're pumping out 37 billion tons into the air every year. But the thing with seaweed is it can suck all of that right back out of the air. Twice as much, in fact. Twice as much if we just merely turn over 10% of the oceans into seaweed farms. Because, hey, kelp grows at 2 feet a day. That's 50 times what trees can do. Yes. That's what he thinks about. He thinks about sexy seaweed, and he thinks about ocean acidification, which is a really big word, right? He thinks about 400 parts per million, right? Because, 37 billion tons of carbon dioxide in the air. What does that even mean? 400 parts parts per million, that means something, 400, right? Because, there's this new number coalescing that says that 350 is what's sustainable. And if we get up to 500, because, back in 1960, it was around when they first started counting, it was around 300. Now it's 400. And if we get to 500, that's when the polar ice caps start melting and Miami goes underwater, goes the way of Atlantis, right? He talks about such things, and he talks about, getting to 350 parts per million because that's sustainable. Yes. Is he presidential timber? Probably not. Does it matter? No. Why? Because he's running on a big idea, Jay Inslee is. He's saving the world, and no one is noticing. What other hopeless idealists do we have in 2020? Well, we have Eric Swalwell, and the first thing you notice about Eric Swalwell is he's got those big, thick lips. Yes, he reminds me of Iowa corn-fed farmers' daughters, that once you start kissing those big, fat lips, you don't want to stop. Yes, but no, he's from the Bay Area. No, he's actually from Iowa. Well, that should help him as he runs for president. But he's congressman from the Bay Area, right, San Francisco these days, and he's a former prosecutor, just like Kamala Harris, which makes you think. And he's descended from a family of cops, which makes his one big idea that he's running on as president gun control. And being from a family of hunters, you think he's probably going to hit his mark eventually. Yes, he's been working on things like background checks. Whereas, after Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre, Barack Obama whined, it's too hard, and he couldn't get anything done. Well, Eric Swalwell has been in Congress fearlessly batting away at it again, shooting at, the guns of this country. And he wants universal background checks. Why? Because, well, they decrease violence. That is fact, right? When Connecticut instituted background checks, it dropped their homicide rate by 40% and their suicides by 15%. When Missouri repealed their background checks, it spiked their homicides by 25% and increased their suicides by 16%. Who knew? And yet 25% of all guns purchased, sold in this country, one to another, is done without background checks. 25%. And given that there are more guns than people in this country, right? Because our population is somewhere around 327 million these days, and there are almost 400 million guns in this country these days? That's a lot of millions and millions and millions of guns that are being sold without background checks. And Eric Swalwell wants to do something about that. He also wants to keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers, right? Why? Because, a beaten woman, is 5 times as likely to die when her abuser has a gun. And this in the days when the Republicans say that even if you're a terrorist and you're on the no-fly list, you should still be able to buy a gun. What a strange world we live in. Yes, Eric Swalwell, he's running on a big idea. Is he presidential timber? Probably not. Does it matter? No. He's got a big idea. He's running for president. He's saving the world, and no one is noticing. Well, that's 2 guys. There must be a girl who's a hopeless idealist in the 2020 campaign, providing local color. Liz, yes, our very own Joan of Arc, Liz Warren, yes. Because the uber wealthy have septupled, right? That's 7 times, septupled their wealth in the last 50 years. She wants to do something about it. Yes, forget about income taxes on the wealthy like AOC wants to do. They don't pay income taxes. It's all in wealth, right? She wants to go after their wealth. So if a family is worth more than 50 million, she wants to levy an ultra-millionaire's tax on them. Oh, that's sexy. Yes. And then she wants to go after corporations, right? Because, Amazon posted this record $11 billion in profits last year. They tell all their investors, buy Amazon stock. We just posted a profit of $11 billion. And how much do they pay in taxes? 0. How much did you pay in taxes this year? Yeah, they had joined the ranks of energy companies like Halliburton and Chevron with their windfall oil prices, taxes, and windfall profits. Do they pay taxes? No. And then there's General Motors and Goodyear. There's even Netflix. Do they pay taxes? No. 60 corporations, all because of Trump's tax cut. 60 corporations, double the number last year, not paying taxes. How much did you pay in taxes this year? And Liz Warren wants to do something about it, our very own Joan of Arc. She's running on a big idea. This woman, this fearless warrior, this fearless class warrior, I love her. I want to have her baby. Yes. She's running on a big idea. Is she presidential timber? Probably not. Does it matter? No. Because she's saving the world and no one is noticing. Now, if we could bundle all 3 of these candidates together, Jay Inslee tackling climate change, Eric Swalwell going after rampant gun violence in our culture, Liz Warren going after the uber wealthy, forcing them to cough up their fair share. If we could bundle all these 3 together, they probably would make the ideal presidential candidate. Yes, and we'd actually get our problems solved. But we don't live in that world, do we? No, we live in the world where we'll probably elect some guy who won't solve any of our problems. He'll just play golf all day. Why not? We did it with the last 2.